in my domain. Got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane. It's over before you know it. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights for the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Welcome back, Summoners, to the 2018 LVL Group Stages. My name is G10. Coming at you, and with me is Arctic. And we will be your shotcasters for today.
Yeah, and what a game that we had earlier. Looks like Bulacan State University, yung kanilang winning streak is going to be canceled out right then and there by AMA University after a dominating performance, not to mention a great debut coming in from both Spells as well as Outlaws sa term na to. Grabe.
Yeah, with that Fiora and that Tristana getting that quadra kill and that last clash, that was a game to behold. And as you said, BULSU's perfect record has now been scarred by AMA. Let's see if FIT has the capacity to do that in this next game.
Yeah, actually, interesting you mentioned yung scarring ng perfect record kasi itong dalawang team na to, so both teams pretty much were going undefeated, although yung kay FIT natapos ng week 2, sa BULSU naman week 3. So it's kind of a point wherein both teams playing around the middle at this point. Kasi yun yung sinasabi namin ni Chisto na kanina, yung game talaga kanina, and yung ngayon, yun talaga magdedetermine sa kung ano ba talaga yung placement ng Bulacan State University dito sa LVL. And I think, at the same time for AMA naman, parang, para sa akin, like, I was almost doubting them after their week 1 performance. Pero, looks like they're gonna climb a few personal ranks up for me.
Yeah, I think that while BULSU is still a strong team, while they're new to the LVL, they've shown us a lot of their capabilities, what they can do. But let's not forget that there have been teams such as AMA that have been in the LVL longer. They are more comfortable in that competitive environment.
And we'll just have to see if Bulacan State University hanggang middle of the pack lang ba sila, or can they try to redeem themselves in this game against FIT? Because FIT, another team that started weaker during the previous term, ended up in the middle, and this time around they did kind of start towards the upper parts of the pack, but can they kind of go higher, or will they stay in the middle towards the end? We'll just have to see. But still, great momentum coming from them within these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know you're personally rooting for Bulacan State University, but I mean, FIT, they do have their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
BULSU has shown to be a really, really consistently strong team in the past couple weeks, right? And what can you tell me about last game? Why do you think BULSU got outclassed by AMA?
Oh man, there's been a lot of factors for me personally. Yun nga, yung pinakauna para sa akin is nandun pa rin yung, may have certain habits sila na as these weeks go along, mas nagiging evident as far as patterns pagdating sa rotation, what plays they make at certain parts of the game. So, also not to mention the fact that wasn't a fan of Yesh's Kazakhs during that game. I mean, he's had a stellar start to his LVL right up until that game right there. Pero on the flip side, AMA just played it much more better from mid to late game. So
yeah, I think you and Chiso were talking earlier about, Graves being available but not picked there, even though Yesh does play Graves. And I think that the jungle pick is even more important now, especially in this patch 8.10 with all the jungle changes, the scuttle crab changes. And I think I do agree with you in that Kazakh's jungle pick was kind of the catalyst for BULSU's loss there.
Hopefully this time around though, we can see a bit of an adjustment from Bulacan State University as far as drafting. Kasi in all fairness, medyo okay naman ang naging drafting nila nitong previous weeks. And I guess even nung game na yun, okay din naman. It's just that, again, even with good things happening, there's still other parts that you could tweak that make it from good to great.
That's right. And I do hope that, they're able to tweak that, in that few moments that they had between these two games. Yeah. Because, they're tuloy-tuloy. 2 games straight.
Interesting that you mentioned that kasi another thing that's at the back of my mind right now pagdating sa Bulacan State University is, given na suffer na nila yung first loss nila, can they recuperate? Kasi parang naalala ko rin ata nung LCL run nila, they suffered, medyo onti lang din yung defeats nila. So this time around, now that they're in the LVL, how will they recuperate? Can they bring the proper mindset after suffering a defeat? Kasi hindi, this is something foreign that is happening to them na hindi nangyari sa kanila ng week 1, week 2. Siyempre, good vibes all the way, 2-0, 2-0, may isang talo na ngayon.
Yeah, and they hopefully, well, you're hoping that they won't get that 4-2. But ITAM Rosie are a formidable team. So far, from what we've seen, they did go 2-0 in the first week, 1-1 in the second week, and this is going to be their first game of the third week.
Agreed. And a lot of teams that I've been talking to, sabi, like, nare-recognize talaga nila ang laki ng improvement ng FIT. So, I think at this point, it's a battle of which team places higher over which. Because I feel like Bulacan State University and FIT at this point, sila yung parang, kung titingnan mo yung medyo magka-level ngayon. But this game will tell who can climb a little bit more higher than the other.
Yeah, that's right. And also interesting is how these teams kind of perceive each other, because I saw a meme on the FIT page actually the other day where FIT was like this small little thing and BULSU was this huge dragon kind of thing. And that kind of view, that kind of David and Goliath thing that they got going on is very interesting, especially going into this specific game.
To be fair though, kahit it's pretty much well known by the public at this point na I have a little bit of favoring towards BULSU, I actually disagree with that meme. I don't really think it's that much of a big difference. Like, probably Dragon versus Dragon. Dragonlings. Two Dragonlings fighting at each other.
I like it. I like that visual.
But, yeah. I mean, kasi I don't think there's still a number of things kasi na may question pa rin pagdating sa Bulacan State University. Oo, naging maganda yung start ng first 2 weeks na. Pero you have to take into account kasi na yung first 4 teams na nakalaban nila is yung medyo as far as personal rankings go, or even kung ibabase mo sa previous term, sila yung nasa lower part of the pack eh. They're yet to fight a team na nasa upper parts like UST, like TUP. At ngayong nakalaban na nga nila yung AMA, it gives us an idea as to what particular extent Bulacan State University can fight. Although, if you're gonna look at their term in the LCL, nung group stage nila, it was almost the same thing na they almost barely qualified for the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, from group stage, they perform above and beyond come playoffs. So I think that's a good telltale sign siguro na hopefully that reflects in the LVL na kahit nakakonquer na sila ng mga talo, just right where they reach the point that matters, magperform sila.
Yeah, and this is kind of the point where that matters, especially since they're coming off of a loss. They got that still in their minds, and I hope that they'll perform their best. They won't tilt. They won't kind of have that losing mindset that a lot of players tend to have.
But we've talked a lot about Bulacan State University. Let's kind of dwell in on FIT a bit more, because the previous week na-mention mo nga 1-1 sila, and talking to the players earlier, because I was only able to talk just a little bit kasi short lang naman yung break natin in between games, and they mentioned na one thing that they wish they could have done better nung game na talo sila is right from the drafting phase pa lang, not respecting the Zoe pick from Baam, from TUP, who really performed in that game. And in all fairness to Baam, like from the last time we saw him last term na nag-Zoe during the finals ng LVL, there's been a lot of improvement, not just from Baam, but Navi as well, na napakita talaga nila na even without key players from previous term is parang this is their time naman na sila naman ang maging stars ng team nila.
That's true. And speaking of stars of the teams, who do you think TIP has, not TIP, sorry, I meant FIT. FIT have to kind of counter what BULSU brings to the table?
Well, it's a bit tricky because I think for me, the matchup to look out for, as far as who might go head-to-head, is si Vial versus Seth. Talking to other teams, na mention nila, they have a lot of respect when it comes to Vial as a mid laner. And if you're gonna look at FIT rin, a player that's really been stepping up to perform is Seth. So I think yun ang, for me, one of the matchups to look out for. But not just that, probably in terms of maybe looking at my notes here, yung sa probably jungle or ADC, probably more so ADC, because there's also been a step up pagdating sa marksman ng FIT, and Empyrean, he's had his highs and lows, more highs though in all fairness, so I think that's another point of contention. So it's gonna be a lot of emphasis on these carries for this FIT BULSU game.
Yeah, speaking of FIT, we are getting news right now from our commissioner that FIT will lose one ban during this game due to a sudden, unexpected roster change.
Yeah, because we're very particular when it comes to these changes, not just sa LVL, like even across the board, whether sa LCL, sa dating PGS.
Yeah, the old PGS.
Hindi pwedeng basta-basta mag-swap out ng role na hindi mo re-register. Unlike yung sa subs, maybe kung sub, kasi at least yung sub medyo flexible between two roles. Pero if it's the main roster that switches, let's say, yung top lane ang registered niya pero biglang magsusupport, then that's a bit of a penalty, which, like you mentioned, as the commissioner said, suffers one ban.
Yeah, and it will be Rindo who is going to sit out this game, while Burger is going to be in.
Interesting.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
For Rindo, I'm interested in seeing how he'll play out this game, but I'm surprised that Burger's not playing because he's one of the players that other teams have been mentioning, aside from Set, they kind of respect as far as how he plays marksman. So, really interesting.
Yeah, and as you were saying, that marksman matchup versus BULSU's Empyrean is going to be really key in this game.
But I guess then again, as far as predictions go pagdating sa matchup, it only goes so far. Kasi kahit nung expected kong matchups nung game 1, hindi masyadong nag-blossom in a way. Like Vial for Niebe, for example, nag-spearhead si Vial, pero yung lead niya hindi naging impactful sa mid and late game. And for bot lane as well, medyo sakto lang. Medyo, yun din, same din na naka-build up ng onti si Empyrean, pero towards the end, si Outlaw pa rin yung biglang, boom, just popped up.
Yeah, Outlaw going deathless in that last game and scoring a quadra kill during the final moments. That was a really impressive show, but I also want to talk about something that surprised me last game was Vial's mid-Irelia pick.
Yes.
You know, I've seen Faker doing it, on stream, and a lot of people have been trying it out. They say it's good. And I see that from a solo queue perspective, but I just didn't think it would work out, in competitive.
Well, I guess it all comes down to, because these players, aside from yung skirmishes nila, or scrimmages, syempre, like, they tend to look at the international scene din. And of course, one thing that's promptly going on right now is MSI. So, magandang reference din yan na makagrasp kung ano yung medyo potent na strategies. Although, magkaibang patch yung nilalaro, but still, I mean, it's still worth a shot in our own term. And that's the thing about the LVL. When you're in the collegiate scene, hindi siya kagaya ng pro scene na medyo talagang they're pretty much die hard on utilizing yung nasa meta. But let's check out our lineups here first. So, of course, first up is going to be FIT in the top lane. It's going to be Arfing. On jungle, it XD Ray. In the mid lane, we have Set, ADCs, Rindo. And of course, we're going to have Chai for support with our coach, Eman Kirivu.
It's actually Burger who's going to be in the ADC role. Because Rindo's, as we said earlier, Rindo's going to be sitting out this game. That was a sudden roster change.
So, we'll just have to see how this will go for FIT this time around.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have BULSU once again. Chris in the top lane, Yesh in the jungle, Vial in the mid lane, Empyrean in the AD carry role, and Ralph as the support with the coach Gian Barutian.
Yeah, this is going to be big for Bulacan State University. Can they recover after a defeat? Time will tell once we head into the drafting phase. I'm wondering if we'll be seeing shakeups as well, because Bulacan State University, in all fairness, was a bit of risk well calculated with that Irelia in the mid lane. But I'm wondering, are they going to pull off something else, or will they revert to something much more standard na alam nilang kaya nilang i-pull off without taking too many risks?
I kind of want to see that Irelia back in that mid lane role, because I did see the kind of mind game going on in the drafting phase where BULSU picked Irelia first, and the AMA kind of expected Irelia to go top, so they picked Ornn, I think. Oh no, they picked Fiora into it, and BULSU picked Ornn. But I do want to see it in the mid lane, and now I want to see that mid Irelia succeed, because that's something that shakes up the entire meta.
Wondering though how this will be going for both sides. So we're still waiting for a ban from FIT. So
they're taking a long time to ban the first because they don't have that first ban.
Of course.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, for the second ban, we're gonna have Gangplank prioritized by Bulacan State University. Not gonna be allowing FIT that opportunity, but let's wait for this next ban from FIT though. I'm wondering what they're going to be banning out, because like I mentioned, medyo nagkakaroon na ng pattern as far as how Bulacan State University plays. Looks like the Cho'Gath going to be banned away from Chris. No surprise right there.
We saw Chris kind of performing in that Cho'Gath last week. I think it was him who was able to 1v1 that Fiora in one of his games, I believe. That was a very impressive thing. But so far, top lane bans. A lot of focus coming onto this top lane right now.
Yeah. Still wondering what I wonder if there's gonna be much more, because we're seeing ano na rin eh, one yung proficient na iban out sa Bulacan City where you have the Cho'Gath, you have Yesh's Skarner, you have the Morgana support from Ralph. There's a lot of picks that they've within the 2 weeks that they've had, the 4 games plus 1 today, parang nakikita mo na kung ano yung medyo champion na ng Bulacan State University. So whether or not there's diversity as far as what they could bring to the table, that's something that's left to be seen. Meanwhile, Lee Sin from Yash, another pick that he's shown he's quite proficient at.
Yeah, and I do think that jungle bans are going to be really key, especially in this patch, because there is a kind of very clear tier list of junglers for 8.10 who can get that Scuttle Crab, get that earlier level 3 because of the changes to the jungle XP. It's kind of harder to do that now, and jungle ban Jarvan coming out.
So Jarvan, but let's check out what FIT will pick up for priority here. I'm wondering, are they going to opt for one of the more powerful junglers for this patch? There's still quite a bit open.
Yeah. Xin Shao is open, Graves is open, Trundle is open. There's a lot. They're actually going to go for Ornn here.
So it's going to be more of a takeaway pick that Bulacan State University could have picked for themselves. I mean, we've seen Chris use Ornn, I think it's twice now, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, instead of priority in terms of what's meta or what's strong, just going to go for more of a denial pick.
Yeah, and we did see Chris doing a lot of work on that Ornn in the last game. It's just that the true damage from the Fiora kind of shredded him, and there is the jungle Graves pick gonna go through for BULSU.
I guess kind of heard out what on the conversation earlier. So this time around, and in all fairness, not just what we were talking about, me and Chista earlier, but this is a champion that Yesh has used in previous weeks as well. So nice to see that they're going to be going for that Graves pick. Again, what I like about a Graves in comparison to a Kha'Zix is that there's a bit more contingency because of his passive. And like, even if he falls a bit behind, still packs decent damage and has a bit more survivability than a Kha'Zix that's behind.
Yeah, the Graves can always go at range. He can kite pretty well, and that's what makes him a good jungler this patch, because he can take that Scuttle Crab and he can duel people who want to take that Scuttle Crab.
But meanwhile, you're not going to take the Kha'Zix. We might take it for ourselves. FIT hovering over, switcheroo to the Trundle.
Yeah, Trundle, another good jungle pick here in this patch. I really like the kind of meta that's happening in the jungle, because it's getting shaken up a lot. You see champions like Evelynn, Kha'Zix, Lee Sin not really doing well because they can't get that level 3 gang off, because it takes quite a bit more time to get to level 3.
Really does. But I'm wondering how FIT will use. Okay, so the last pick, an Echo. You don't see that much Echo lately, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, Echo in the mid lane looks like for set. And I wonder what Viel is going to pick into that, because I could see an Aurelia working into this.
Could potentially. Still waiting for that last pick from Bulacan State. Okay, I don't think we're going to be seeing... I don't think that's the best idea, but let's wait for that last lock, and I'm not really going to discount that Katarina. But looking at... Okay, so Corki, definitely better.
All right. That's a much safer pick for Viel here versus an Echo, because a Katarina, that's a lot risky. That's a very risky pick, especially when FIT has CC to take the Katarina out of her ultimate. But moving into the second batting phase, what do you think of these picks? We got top, jungle, and mid locked in for each team.
Well, as far as what FIT has, one thing I gotta say is definitely a little bit more on the beefier side. There's a lot that they could work with as far as setting up these team fights through the Ornn, through the Echo as well. For Bulacan State University, I like how it's a bit more straightforward that with this Maokai pick, there's a lot that this Graves and Corki can do, so long as he could get the proper hold on key targets that would otherwise try to take down the key carries from Bulacan State University.
Yeah.
So still pretty good. I'm wondering how Bulacan State University is going to wrap up this composition, though, because a Maokai alone to set up these fights wouldn't be enough, in my opinion, with a Graves and Corki so far.
I'm kind of expecting something like an Alistar or a Braum, maybe, to kind of
support that could set.
A frontline tank, because if Chris is the only tank in this in BULSU's composition, then XJ will just subjugate that Maokai, and then FIT will be able to shred through that front line and immediately go for the back line.
So far, looking at these bans though, so Janna as well as the Ezreal, so a little bit more diverse here. Janna, probably a good ban there, just so that they could... I mean, Janna pretty much, not aside from the disengage, but the heal would heavily benefit FIT with what they've drafted so far. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for that last one. Looks like it's going to be a respect ban to Empyrean's Vayne that we're going to see taken away here. I'm wondering what BULSU will respond with for their bot lane, because that's kind of assuming that I'm highly expecting that the Spark is going to go in the mid lane. So what we're waiting for here is the respective bot lanes for both sides.
I haven't actually seen a Corki in the bot lane for the longest time, and it's going to look like a Caitlyn here for Empyrean. You know, kind of doubling down on that safety.
Yeah, so there's definitely... Okay, so Varus I like as well.
Stand corrected. I do like this Varus pick. That Corrupting Chains ultimate is just so useful, especially in a cluster team fight.
There's safety with that range, not to mention... I mean, in comparison to a Caitlyn, does have that solid crowd control through the ultimate. So, I guess best of both worlds for Empyrean right now.
Burger, kind of... He did lock in the Jinx. That's going to be... that's going to be a fun time. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, if Burger can really pop up on this marksman, then looks like Bulacan State University might have their work cut out for them. I'm liking the draft from both sides so far. Looks like FIT gonna wrap it up like this Lulu as well. I mean, even though they have great sets here, you kind of want to complement that with the necessary utility, and I think Lulu fulfills all those roles in terms of making sure that there's more survivability for the key carries, and also a minor movement boost if needed to make sure those sets are optimal. But Bulacan State University looks like they're going to wrap it up with a Nami, not bad as well. Again, we have Maokai and Nami, two champions that could keep the composition of FIT at bay.
Yeah, especially if you consider like what their ults look like if they're done together. You got the Maokai ultimate coming in and the Nami wave. It's just if FIT are caught in somewhere, let's say like the jungle, where there are really very little pathways to kind of avoid that, then that's going to be really good for BULSU.
Yeah, that's heavy terrain that they're working with. In all fairness, a lot of coverage. But we'll just have to say, because the tricky part here at the same time for Bulacan State University is if they're not able to optimize those ultimates, then they kind of go into those fights with a bit more of a disadvantage, because it's very key how both Chris and Rob utilize that crowd control in comparison to FIT, wherein they have a lot more contingency to work with the Ornn, with the Echo, with the Lulu as well to an extent. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and I really do like the kind of wave ultimates coming in, because you got the Maokai ultimate, you got Nami ultimate, and you got the Call of the Forge God coming in from the Ornn. It's going to be a lot of...
Very explosive.
Yeah, there's going to be some really fun team fights to watch. So, but what do you think is going to be the team's strategy, each team's strategy, like, based on their picks?
Well, I mean, straight off, Bulacan State University, I mean, you have a Graves, you have a Corki, and Varus all in one composition. It's very clear. Make sure that being ranged champions by default, you want to make sure that positioning is key. Allow the Nami and Maokai to sway off any of the members that otherwise charge into those squishier. I mean, Graves still kind of balances out, but Corki and Varus definitely, under any circumstances, you don't want caught off in this case. So we'll just have to see. Meanwhile, for FIT, a little bit more well-rounded with what they have here. I mean, they have great sets, like I mentioned, but not only that, if they could get Burger to snowball on this Jinx, that is going to be chaotic for Bulacan State University.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter if you have that Maokai and Nami to keep it at bay, which is why I feel like that's kind of the key here. Whoever has crowd control in Bulacan State University has to be super duper on point.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you let Burger, get that those range attacks and those rockets off, and then he gets a single kill or a takedown in that one fight, then Bulacan State University have to consider that and have to kind of retreat a little bit, reset, wait out that passive from the Jinx.
Exactly.
That's going to be really deadly if Burger can get going here.
I think at Bulacan, for FIT, they have a little bit more contingency with the composition that they have. Even if they fall a bit, I mean, there's still a lot more ways that they could slowly get pickoffs to build back up. But for Bulacan State University, I feel like this is a composition that really can't afford that as much, because if they fall behind, it just makes Corki and Varus all the more desirable, easier to take down targets, even with crowd control from Chris and Ralph. Because, as I mentioned, it's very crucial how BULSU functions as a team. I mean, earlier, wasn't quite as feasible against AMA University. We saw moments of there was a bit of a disconnect with how they function. So this time around, it's the same thing, wherein whatever mistakes that they made against AMA in terms of communication as far as priorities and target, this time they have to be much more on point.
Yeah, especially since Empyrean here is Varus, kind of an immobile AD carry, and once that flash is down, he just kind of sets a target on him for FIT to just go in and take, especially with the Trundle Pillar of Filth, with the stun from Echo if he lands it, that Call of the Forge God. Empyrean really has to be on point with his positioning in this fight.
Doesn't
in this
really,
game.
exactly. I mean, doesn't really have the same fanciness, I'd say, in comparison to whether he's maneuvering on a Kaisa or a Vayne. A little bit more stagnant, this Varus. But we'll just have to see if he can execute. So, ladies and gents, we have our two comps here, both sides locked in. Who do you think is going to win this out? Do you think FEUIT going to build back on the momentum that they lost during week 2? Use hashtag FIT win. Or would you like to say Bulacan State University make a mini comeback of their own after suffering a defeat against AMA? Hashtag BULSU win pa rin, mga kaibigan.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is that Tamriel's banned the Vayne from Gosu X.
Actually.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tamriel spotting out, they are named after Gosu himself. It's actually, an internet cafe, but we'll say that Gosu X.
Saktong-sakto yung sponsor nila kay MT, no?
Exactly.
Oh, man. But again, heading into this game, I'm worried for Bulacan State University as far as mindset goes. If they have that fortitude to kind of build themselves back up, because that defeat earlier against AMA, there was quite a number of things that could have done way better, which would have otherwise propelled them to a victory, but didn't quite happen. Meanwhile, FIT, even though they did suffer their first defeat last week, I mean, you had a full week to kind of dwell on it, figure out what went wrong. And na-mention nga ng FIT na going into this term, they feel much more better about how they function as a team. Mas maayos yung communication, mas maayos yung collaboration. So, I highly doubt that mindset would be a problem for FIT in this circumstance.
Yeah, and we gotta find out if that mindset will carry over to this game as we load onto the Rift. You see BULSU kind of setting up here in the mid lane.
So kind of grouped up here, but I mean, if you're gonna look at FIT pattern-wise, everyone's full on defense, making sure to spot out any aggressive invades Bulacan State University would have otherwise gone for, but that's not gonna be the case, So looks like everyone just gonna stick to defense mode right now.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a fairly standard early game in this match. We see X-Ray not really committing to a side of the jungle to start with right now. Except for now, he's going to go start red. Both junglers are going to start red side, actually.
So this will make for standard rotation for both sides. But I'm wondering how these matchups are going to go, though, because I think it's safe to say for bot lane. Safe to say that both sides are safe. Because, I mean, if you look at the nature of these supports here, I mean, you have a lot of utility to deal with the damage. Chai has the shield for the Lulu. Ralph has heals to work with. So, kind of goes both ways here. Unless we see some aggressive ganks coming in from Dre and Yesh, but ooh.
It looks like a cheese is going to happen here. It does seem like Ralph is going to get the first bubble on, and Burger has to flash out, burning the first summoner there. Ralph actually ignited for that, I would say, worth.
Yeah, ignite for a flash. I mean, sure, you miss out on T3 damage, but I mean, considering that Burger is running Jinx, it leaves more room for error as far as FIT's positioning here if ever we do see some kind of fight that goes in favor of Bulacan State University spot lane.
Yeah, speaking of fights going on, Set is still level 1. Yes, level 2 ganking, not burning anything so far. Set just walking away from that gank.
And I don't know, so far from what's happening here, the aggression is on for Bulacan State University. Really bringing pressure across lanes here earlier during bot lane, this time in mid lane. So definitely doesn't want to dilly-dally within these first few minutes of the game whatsoever.
Yeah, Bulacan State University coming in strong after their loss earlier. Yesh once again ganking already in the top lane. Arfing has to flash out. Yesh dashes in. Arfing still running away. Will he get out of this? It looks like he's going to be safe.
Oh man, all that damage. Yes, galit ang papi natin from if he didn't have as much an impact during game 1 earlier, hell, he's gonna make up for it this game too.
Yeah, and he looks like he's going to be stealing over the blue buff of X-Ray because X-Ray already stole over his blue buff. And man, Yesh is just going really hard on these aggressive ganks.
And look at that, very aggressive indeed. Goes for a blue buff steal, and let's check out positioning as to where Dre is at right now. Actually mirroring it, in fact. So it just kind of pans out equal,
yeah,
I'd say.
That it's they're trading jungles right now, which is pretty okay because, you know, X-Ray, he has an avenue to gank the bot lane here, I think.
It's literally a mirror that's happening right now. But then again, as far as what both sides have been going, I mean, Yesh is running a Grave, so probably has a bit more. I mean, within these first few minutes, definitely got a lot accomplished. Getting set pressured off with all that damage, forcing a flash off of Arfing, so definitely a lot more value as far as what he's managed to do.
Yeah,
But
Empyrean though here, the minion block will catch him off, has to flash Eternal Pillar, but X-Ray is going to come in. Empyrean has to dodge that slow, but the first blood goes on to Shy, and now they're going onto Ralph. He tries to run away, but the Jinx will get him. Meanwhile, in the top lane, once again, Yesh ganking, trying to get revenge for that bot lane. Arfing going to be taken very low. He has no flash, he has no dash, and it looks like he will go down to Yesh. A 2-for-1 exchange map-wide.
flash and dash, nice run, man. But
right.
at the end of the day, that's what I'm talking about right there for Bulacan State University. Sobrang crucial ng crowd control nila para maayos na makafunction yung carries nila dito. If Ralph and Chris aren't on point, then it just leaves all these carries so vulnerable.
Yeah, hang on. Though this dragon is very low. X-Ray trying to get it before it kills him, but Vial is here and the teleport will go from Chris. And oh my god, the steal actually coming in from Vial. And now the other members of BULSU are here collapsing. The teleport is also coming in from Arping. It looks like this is going to be a really big fight. Chris is going to be the sacrificial lamb here for BULSU. FIT will get 2 kills, even though BULSU gets that Infernal Drake.
Very messy fights, but at the end of the day, it's undeniable. FIT is getting the heavy benefit here. And this is a fear that we're realizing right now for Bulacan State University. Gaya ng sabi ko, if Burger starts popping off, really ramping up, then that's going to be a lot that he has to deal with. Look at that. 301 gets a BF stored on his first back. Sobrang sulit, man.
Ooh, this is going to be really tough for Empyrean to deal with. But, you know, he has 2 daggers compared to that BF sword, boots, and dagger already completed on Burger. Man, Empyrean has to play really, really safe now because if you get tagged by that Jinx or that Lulu slow, it's kind of over.
I guess, meanwhile, that's the deficiency that Bulacan State University has to work with. In all fairness, though, it does leave a bit more room for Yesh to get more value off of how Vial and Chris is performed. Because if you notice, a lot of these ganks from Yesh so far has been focused across these 2 lanes here. So it just really depends on how Empyrean and Ralph plays out these next few minutes. And otherwise, they kind of have to trust the bot lane of Bulacan State University to not encounter any more deficiencies or just flat out straight up not screw up any further.
Yeah, I do have to commend Yesh though. He is level 6 already at the 6-minute mark, which is kind of tough for junglers to achieve in this current patch. And you know, but X-Dray though, having more impact arguably as a jungler, he kind of wants to go for this bot gank, looks like, but now he's gonna back away. Yesh just going to be farming up, and man, this is kind of that philosophy where, you know, gank versus farm.
Right. At this point, Empyrean Ralph, medyo distansya amigo muna sila dapat unless they have proper vision to otherwise spot off Dre. But if not, then you don't really want to risk it at this point.
Yeah, Dre is going to be taking his blue buff, and Yesh looks like he wants to invade. Very, very aggressive. He is level 6. I'm not sure if X-Dray is. He's still level 5.
Bit too late.
A little bit too late. Just a couple seconds off of that steal, actually. But Yesh looking for this gank, that revenge gank on the bot lane. Burger is going hard. So is Empyrean and Ralph. But Yesh coming in from the backside, going to take the flash out of Burger and takes down the Jinx. That 3-0-1 Jinx now has a death. That was a very, very clean flash from Burger, but it was not enough to stave off the Graves.
Shaky gank coming in from Yesh. Not bad at all. Teleport was coming in from Arving. Does cancel it out in the end, but then again, with that cancel on the teleport, gives a lot more confidence from Bulacan State University siege to start in the bot lane. And 3 range ADs hitting on that turret.
Meanwhile, X-Ray going to get the gank onto Chris here. Chris tries to twisted advance, trying to get the heals, gets the flash out. Will he go down? Looks like Arfing and X-Ray want this dive. Chris trying to dissuade them. The last turret hit will actually get X-Ray there.
That was unfortunate right there. I was almost thinking he would have survived with Slither of Health, but then again, the amp up on damage from turrets worked out for Bulacan State University then. And just like that, put themselves back on the map, gets a turret.
Yeah.
So far so good. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the cleanest so far from BULSU, but I mean, at this point, you want to take every advantage you can.
Yeah, and BULSU coming back swinging from that early deficit. They're just, you know, they're forcing these objectives, and I do have to commend Chris there for actually turning that gang around in the top lane.
Different tune that Bulacan State University is playing right now, especially for Yesh. I mean, this guy clearly wanting to make up for what happened earlier, that's for sure. And it's working beautifully for him. I mean, a 2-0 standing, not to mention he's been on top of keeping the lanes in check these past few minutes. I mean, if anything, we can see a lot more successful ganks from him as opposed to his jungle counterpart.
Yeah, well, I would kind of disagree with you on that one because XDre was able to get a bunch of kills earlier on in the game. But still, Yesh has 2 kills compared to 4 assists from Dre.
That's fair, actually. I mean, if you're going to look at Dre, 100% kill participation, regardless of having not taken a kill himself. But still, I mean, if you're going to look at who you really want to get amped up, I'd definitely say Burger and Set in this case.
Exactly. And Burger's still sitting on that 3-1-1 score, has the BF sword, and it's going to be a lane swap already this early in the game. 9 minutes in, Empyrean and Route want to be taking the chipping down this turret in the top lane.
Yeah, it might take a bit of a while here. I mean, Arfing does some good work off of that wave, but I mean, every time that wave does push in onto turret for FIT, you're able to get a few chunks here and there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Chris is really set up here in the bot lane. He can easily defend that bot tower. It's not going to be a problem for him at all. Burger and Chai here kind of looks like they're a little bit scared. They're playing a little bit safer because they do know that the possibility for Yesh's ganks are there, even if it's just Chris in the bot lane.
Yeah, and this is an interesting thing because if anything, the only reason Empyrean and Ralph had a successful voyage through that laning phase 2v2 was because of these gank from Yesh. But other than that, if left unchecked, then it would have been an advantage that Burger and Chai would have otherwise pushed because of the lead that they have. But by taking down that bottom lane turret, effectively allows Empyrean and Ralph to swap lanes, and they don't have to deal with that deficiency.
Yeah, and FIT are not going to be able to contest this, I don't think, unless XDre really wants to. He's trying Frozen Domain, goes in, but that's 3 members versus just 1 of him. Arfing isn't around to contest this with him, so Rift Herald will just go over to BULSU.
Yeah, it's a clean take for Bulacan State University right there. Even if Dre wanted to try to go for a smite contest, I mean, you have to take into account other factors like the ultimate from Empyrean to hold him down, or maybe Ralph.
Yeah, but a lot of fights going on. Vial going to be going on to this Echo here, but Set will get tagged by the Nami wave and will go down to Empyrean. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Chris does go down to the duo of Burger and Chai, and BULSU looks to start this dragon.
That was a crazy barrage of damage that Set took right there. Looks like, indeed, BULSU going to take a dragon right here. I mean, Burger and Chai not really in a position to potentially contest it. I mean, if you're going to look at the mana bar on Burger, he expended a hell lot to take down Chris there.
Yeah, and Chris, he did last quite a long time, but he was the one who engaged on the duo lane of FIT. And that was a little bit of a mistake, personally, but it was the we play. That was a team play, not the me play.
Exactly. And looks like that's going to be with assistance from the Rift Herald. Oh, mid-outer turret taken quite down quite efficiently.
Yeah, and BULSU is on top of the objectives this game. They have taken both dragons, and let's see a replay of actually that bottom fight.
Right, so if you're going to notice, Chris here is taking a full barrage, so actually not even needing the Call of the Forge God to go all the way in. So just overall Burger performing above and beyond. So let's go ahead and see if he could carry his team back into a better transition as we head to this mid-game.
Yeah, Burger already 4-1 on this Jinx. Man, if there is any champion that can effectively 1v5 from the AD carry role, it would have to be Jinx.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. If anything, if we hit these bigger team fights, FIT can't afford to allow Burger to just hit from the back line freely. They have to find a way to get access to that Jinx if we do reach those points in this game.
Yeah, and I would think that it would be up to Chris to actually find that way into the back line of FIT.
Okay, so looks like Empyrean Ralph going to get back to business here. Unfortunately, Arfing actually looking like he's trying to back away. Is he going to make it in time to salvage that turret? I'm not really sure that'll be the case.
XDre running into BULSU in their jungle, but oh my god, the flash from Yesh. Burger is in trouble. He has been Lulu ulted, but they are on him, has to flash out. So far, the first kill will go on to Chris, and Burger is now excited. Gonna go on to Vial, and Vial trying to run away for his life. A lot of damage bursting down Burger maybe, but the couple of last hits will actually get the double kill for Burger.
Ooh, yeah, I'm not really sure that flash was worth for Vial, but at the end of the day, FIT definitely getting a lot more value out of that.
Yeah, and that was because I think they were all just there. As opposed to BULSU, who had the dual lane in the top.
Okay, this is the deficiency that Bulacan State University has to work with right now. In the absence of a Kha'Zix this time around, I mean, Corki, Graves, Varus, these are three champions that you can't really expect to find a way to jump into the backline. And that's kind of the worry that I have, because FIT, unless they can find a way to penetrate all these heavy frontliners through top, jungle, and mid respectively, there's just no way they could reach into Burger. If anything, they have to try to find fights where they could get Burger first before they turn to the rest, because if they can't get Burger within the first few seconds of a full 5v5, then Burger just needs to turn to the backline, to stay in the backline of his team, and that's what happened earlier.
Yeah, and even though they did jump onto Burger, Burger was just, hang on, Vial trying to get out of here, has to use that Valkyrie to get out. A little bit of a surprise there,
yeah.
And it looks like the blue buff will be contested here. But as you were saying, it's going to be really hard for BULSU to actually try to get onto Burger. But I think that Corki, Vial can actually get onto the backline and kind of play that disrupting role if he has the package. But that's going to be a suicide mission for him.
Pretty much. And that's kind of tricky. I think at this point, Bulacan State University really needs to start ramping up at least. Just to, if they can't really reach the Jinx as much, allow yourself to at least shred through all that tankiness that FIT has in the front line, just so that it doesn't become much of a problem in the later parts of this game. Because if FIT is able to build up on optimal items to otherwise boost that tankiness, then that's just a great wall that you have to deal with for if you're Bulacan State University.
Yeah, and FIT, they know their win condition here. They've given 6 kills over out of the 7 to Burger. And
yeah,
just getting that Jinx fed is going to be their kind of sole win condition. Just protect the ADC. It's kind of like a Cogba comp with a Jinx.
Kind of go back to that classic textbook composition that we've seen many seasons through. Still pretty much effective. At least that's what we're seeing in FIT's case so far in the game. But we're still kind of earlier in on. We're only 15 minutes in. So there's still a lot that can happen. But we are seeing a bit of an imbalance for Bulacan State University stats, because while Jinx is leading the fray, there's not really anybody that you can peg as particularly solid as far as where they're at in this game for BULSU.
Exactly. And, you know, for BULSU, they're all kind of spread out while everything is focused on Burger here. And it's going to be kind of interesting, especially once we get into these 5v5 fights, because the win condition for FIT is very clear, right? And BULSU has to kind of find a way around that, and that's the challenge here.
I mean, with 3 carries here, we really want to try to shred all through of FIT, but so far, not really. They're still trying to reach that point in this game.
Yeah. Oh, they almost kind of spotted out X-Ray there if they put a ward, but once again, the all-important Scuttle Crab take, 140 gold for Yesh. That is an insane amount of gold for Scuttle Crab, I'm gonna just say.
Yeah, lots of heavy benefits for Scuttle in terms of value, but with that, I mean, he's gonna suffer all the more deaths now because of the changes in the recent patch.
Yeah, there are gonna be a lot more Scuttle fights, but it looks like X-Ray is trying to engage on the Empyrean Pillar. Phil has been dropped. Empyrean has the flash to get out of here, but Nami Wave comes in. The TP from Arfing, I think. No, it's Set coming in, but also Vial. They are diving onto the Varus, but Set trying to get onto him will not get it. Chris, though, in the danger zone, going to use his ultimate to disengage, but Chris going to be fighting Set. So far, a lot of damage, but the Burger wasn't even in that fight so far. Speaking of Burger, is taking a lot of damage so far. Ooh. That was a pretty good skirmish, but no kills going to be going on to either team. Infernal Drake, though, going to be the next thing to fight.
Oh.
Yes, a little bit caught out here, steps into the traps, has to get out of there, but Vial gets the first kill onto X-Ray. The second kill will be Arfing. Burger will get it, be the third to go down. FIT now running for their lives. Chai and Set have been frozen in place. It looks like their escape will be delayed.
Abangan sa susunod na kabanata ng LVL. Mau-ace kaya ng Bulacan State University ang FIT.
LVL goes to X.
But yeah, that was crazy. And what's interesting there is kumbaga, if you're gonna look at it, ang ganda ng idea ng FIT na kind of clumped up in the dragon, try to go for a sneaky play, but when you're that clumped up, you just allow a full linear ultimate to Graves to just smack you in the face, and that's what happened right there.
Exactly, and BULSU did so well in that team fight because they were able to just take down the tanks, and now they're gonna get the Infernal Dragon. And because they were able to take down the tanks, Burger had nowhere to run.
Whoa, okay, I thought if Vial walked there, then might have potentially spot up. But then again, Vial's pretty low on mana, so might wanna kind of go back sometime soon, my friend.
Yeah, although that was a pretty good team fight for BULSU.
Oh yeah.
FIT though, you know, that's kind of the limitation of their comp that we're seeing.
And again, position. Even though FIT has some fairly good tools to work with in team fights, one thing that they have to take into account, sure, you have all that working for you, but positioning is another thing.
Yeah, but hang on, Yash trying to get the kill onto X-Dre. The Nami wave will fall just a little bit short, but let's see a replay.
Yeah, so let's check out what happened here. Again, like I mentioned, look at how grouped up everyone was with FIT. Just took the full chunk of that ultimate from the grave, and this right at the start of this fight, because of that, their health bars were almost everybody on FIT had half health. And it was just a mill through from Bulacan State University. And this is where the triple marksman that they have thrived immensely.
Yeah, especially if you notice, it was both Yesh and Chris tanking all that damage that was coming in from Burger. And that Maokai coming in from the back to get onto the Jinx was just so beneficial for BULSU.
Man, again, we have to see if FIT plays out on better terrain in team fights, because when you're that squished, you just allow Chris and Ralph all the opportunity to land their ground control. That's what I've been talking about. That's the key for Bulacan State University to kind of help them in these team fights where Chris and Ralph have to be on point.
Yeah, and they're using that key beautifully so far, as we were seeing. They are now they have now equalized the kill score, and they're up 5,000 in gold.
Now that you mention it, at this point in time, BULSU really on top of these objectives, I gotta say. I feel like that's one of the key factors as to why we're seeing that big of a difference.
Yeah, speaking of objectives, Baron is coming up in 3 seconds. Of course, they're not going to go for it immediately, looks like, but they are going to look for that setup.
I think the good thing about Bulacan State University here, as far as where they're at in standings, is because it's spread out, it's not really focused on one person. It allows everyone to have balanced relevance in team fights. Unlike, let's say, kung naka-focus lang yung lead pagdating kay, let's say, kung kay Yesh, nasa kanya yung karamihan ng kills. But if the Corki and Varus were behind, probably would have spelled out a different story. Unlike, let's say, na for FIT naman, okay lang na naka-focus sa Jinx ng kills because he's the one that you kind of want to keep carry. But then again, you also have to take into account that you want everybody else to be able to defend the Jinx as opposed to just being shredded by the triple marksman coming in from Bulacan State.
Exactly, and BULSU now kind of taking their place inside FIT's jungle. They are establishing dominance over this side of the map.
Looks like Bulacan State University really starting to push out here. Teleports is down for Chris there, so BULSU has to still keep distance.
Yeah, and it looks like they will get a kill onto the Echo set there. Just a little bit too aggressive on that. I think he should have just given up the tower, but BULSU in a really big position of power. They will look towards this Baron.
Oh man, this is gonna be big for Bulacan State University. I was actually thinking, like, what was happening towards the top side earlier was heavily in favor of FIT because if a huge fight broke out, there was no way that Chris could have responded because his teleport was down. But look at Burger.
Burger, though, shredding through the health bars. Ralph going to be very low, has to pop the flash. Burger going to get the Super Mega Death Rocket, not doing a lot of damage, but now BULSU are trapped in the pit. Empyrean will be the target, but oh my god, actually, Empyrean turns it all around, dies to X-Dre, but BULSU gets 3 kills off of that.
Whew. Look at that right there. I mean, the tricky part is, sure, you have a superpower Jinx, but we have a hell lot more damage to dish out constantly through the rest of what champions we have in our comp. And it's such a shame because FIT, they had BULSU cornered in that Baron pit, but still, they come up on top there.
Yeah, it really did look like FIT would just clean up after that, but BULSU just has so much damage.
And I think what's unfortunate there is because
the Forge God going to be knocking up Vial and Nami. Ralph has to run away, but Vial does get the kill onto set. Squishy Echo. no match for the big one coming in from Vial.
The unfortunate thing there, because since Bulacan State University was able to secure the Baron, let's see what happened here. So FIT, they tried to contest the Baron here, and look at Burger, he's dealing an insane amount of damage. I feel like he should have just gone full commit into this fight, because there was a moment wherein, like, for a few seconds, he was a bit stagnant as far as who he'd try to go for auto attacks. I feel like if he just continued hitting targets, that would have felt a different story for FIT, but because there was that moment of hesitation, it allowed just enough time for Bulacan State University to not only secure the Baron, but retaliate with their own damage right there.
Yeah, that was just how do I describe? That was a turnaround.
Yeah,
like that was the textbook definition of a turnaround.
And I think the tricky part there is that since nakuha ng Bulacan State University yung Baron, hindi basta-basta makakapag-teleport response si Arvin. Kasi kung rumisponde siya dun sa fight na nangyari, then oo, siguro iiba yung flow nung team fight na yun. Pero you allow, in effect, Chris to just split push in the bot lane with the Baron himself. So that was the choice that Arvin kind of had to fiddle around with. Do I respond right away to help contest Baron? Or do I just maintain in the bot lane with the threat of Chris, like, you know, just continuing to push? So those were a lot of factors that FIT had to make a decision with, but at the end of the day, it didn't really work out for them.
I kind of feel like mahirap din kasi for Arvin to TP because against Chris, it's Maokai. He has a lot of CC to stop that teleport. So if he gives up that teleport advantage and has it cancelled, it's going to be really, you know, it's going to be a big disadvantage for FIT going on to the later stages of this game.
Ooh, meanwhile, look at this. FIT very much restrained. Nasa punto sila, they're very defensive, but oh no.
Oh, Chris and Yesh going on to this struggle. X-Dray going to be going down very, very soon. The flash from Yesh will secure the kill.
And like I mentioned, galit na galit ang jungler ng Bulacan State University ngayon. And looks like they're in a position to potentially go for the finish here. Take note, medyo bigatin pang death timer ni Dre before he comes up.
Yes, it's going to be a 4v5 for quite a bit. But Chris, I think he wants to split push in the top lane, so it's going to be BULSU just leaving the base of FIT right now. But yeah, as you said, man, that is it's going to be really hard since X-Dray is not there for that fight. But follow the Forge God, they are going for this fight. Ralph gets knocked up, but the Nami wave knocking up Burger will just kind of stop that fight in its tracks. Two ultimates used. Vial going in hard. Burger is so low. He got tagged by the Graves ultimate but will not die. Has to go back. Will not be in this fight if BULSU tries to pull the trigger on this one.
Oh man. Taking all the effort from FIT to clear out these waves. These Baron-empowered minion waves coming in from Bulacan State University. And taking out Chris, constantly continuing the push towards topside. He has teleport now this time though, so that if fights do break out, has access to go for responses if needed.
Yeah, but Seth is going to be responding onto that push. Chris will be, you know, he'll just be fine. He can heal up. He's a Maokai.
Look at that. Whatever damage Seth deals, instantly just heals it, chunks it back up. But, man.
Look at this confidence though coming in from BULSU. They're two members, just Ralph and Imperia, but they are going, you know, they're facing up against 4 of FIT while Yesh was taking the dragon.
Oh man, just waiting for that next wave. Nope, Yesh. Nope, I'm not going to wait for that wave. I'm just going to go straight for that turret.
He's going man mode on that turret, just tanks it, knows he can do it with a Nami heal. And it looks like 2 inhibitors now down for the side of FIT. BULSU now very, very squarely in the driver's seat of this game. They're going for the last inhibitor and the last inhibitor. Will FIT go for something here?
Oh, FIT. This is rather unfortunate.
There's of corruption are onto X-Dray and he gets dove on by the Maokai, but in the back, Burger is going to go down to Vial. Chai will be the next going on, but Vial goes down to Arving. However, Imperial is going to be shredding down that Ornn. Sorry, I was going to say Maokai, but that Ornn. And that will be... Man, that'll be the game, I think. FIT cannot defend this anymore. Just Chris and Yesh going in their faces in the fountain. That'll be the Nexus going down for BULSU's first win of this week.
Yes, congratulations, Bulacan State University. Going to take that game against FIT. Very, very well played.
Yeah, congratulations. They did bounce back from their earlier loss. And now they're showing us that, you know, they are capable of coming back.
May natutunan ako ngayon, Gito. Kung matatalo si Bulacan State University ng unang game nila for the day, kung sino yung makakalaban nila next game, medyo humanda sila kasi Yesh, like, from way at the way flying under the radar earlier, just went way up there. Di siya nagkaroon ng death, di ba? Kundi like went perfect. Not a single death on him. Just
I think
one
so.
kills and assists.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, my Galaxy boy. He has something to prove because he really did do well in that Kha'Zix
Yeah.
in the last game. But now showing up on this Graves, that was a kind of beautiful show of turning things around,
Right.
not letting the tilt affect you. And man, that was just a beautifully executed game by BULSU.
Yeah, and in all fairness to FIT then, because as far as what win conditions that they needed to accomplish within the earlier parts, sobrang nakapag-build up si Burger. It's just that what followed in the next parts was a bit more tricky. And I feel like the turning point right there, which really allowed Bulacan State University to start climbing back up, was yung cheeky part with the dragon where they were hiding.
Yes.
That was major. Pero I gotta say, I'm loving the potential na meron pa rin tong dalawang teams na to. I wouldn't discount FIT just yet. O second defeat nila to. But I wouldn't be surprised pa rin if they still make playoffs. There's a lot more weeks ahead and still a lot of potential growth for both sides.
That's right. And FIT, although they did lose this one, they did show that they know their win conditions. They know how to get there. It's just that BULSU was able to take their win condition and kind of negate it because of all the
Exactly.
damage.
So, I don't know, man. At this point, we're just gonna have... It's tricky to tell who's kind of flying in the rankings because there's still a lot more that can happen. And I know for a fact that with all the LCLs we've casted before,
That's right.
hindi na lang ako magugulat kung may medyo flying under the radar right now, but towards the end, could come up on top.
Of course. And it's kind of a lot closer, this LVL, in general, because these teams are just so good and they're kind of all evenly matched in a way, so that it's kind of unexpected what happens in one game to the next.
All evenly matched, except UST.
Except UST. That's right. The Tele Tigers are still undefeated, I believe.
Yep, still undefeated, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're the team that does pull off the undefeated streak because that's pretty much done for FIT BULSU. So I think si UST, hindi ako magugulat kung mag-undefeated sila for the group stage. Playoffs might be a different story, pero malay natin.
Yeah, they were the champions last LVL, so we have high expectations of them.
But nonetheless, guys, that kind of concludes the Game 2. Pero I believe we still have a lot more ahead, G10.
That's
right.
for sure. That's right. The next game number 3, will be again between AMA, I believe, and Adamson University. So stay tuned for that. My name has been G10 coming at you, and with me is Arctic, and we'll see you in game number 3. From VL, and now the other members of BULSU are here collapsing. The teleport is also coming in from Arping. It looks like this is going to be a really big fight. Chris is going to be the sacrificial lamb here for BULSU. FIT will get the flash from Yesh. Burger is in trouble. He has been Lulu ulted, but they are on who has to flash out. So far, the first kill will go on to Chris, and Burger is now excited. Gonna go on to Vial, and Vial trying to run away for his life. A lot of damage bursting down Burger maybe, but the couple of last hits will actually get the double kill for Burger. Ooh, Vial steps into the traps, has to get out of there, but Vial gets the first kill onto X-Ray. The second kill will be Arfing. Burger will get it, be the third to go down. FIT now running for their lives. Chai and setting to the health bars. Wow.
Unfortunate.
Some corruption are onto X-Ray, and he gets dove on by the Maokai, but in the back, Burger is going to go down to Vial. Chai will be the next going on, but Vial goes down to Arfing. However, Imperium is going to be shredding down that Orn. Sorry, I was about to say Maokai, but that Orn. And that'll be the game, I think. FIT cannot defend this anymore. Just Chris and Yesh going in their faces in the fountain. That'll be the Nexus going down for BULSU's first win of this week.
Yes, congratulations, Bulacan State University. Going to take that game against FIT. Very, very well played.
Yep.